Welcome, Scorpio. John Mars in Aries, 6 week forecast for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. From April the 9th through to May the 18th, Mars is making its way through the other zodiac sign he rules, other than yours, of Aries. But what does that mean for you in particular, Scorpio? I'm going to share your event chart from a purely Scorpionic viewpoint. It's going to show where all the planets are when Mars arrives, because those will provide a backdrop for that whole 6 week period. I'll then go through each of the aspects Mars forges with other planets during that period. By the end of the video, you'll have a clear understanding of what you can expect in terms of energy, work, relationships, and finances. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. So on the screen now is the event chart, and there's Mars on that 0 degrees Aries point, the vernal point, the very start of the zodiac. And for you, the sixth house, very much to do with life's practicalities. And one of the things that Mars can bestow upon you over this next period is greater stamina. However, we need to look at that overall map. So Mars has been making its way through your sister water sign of Pisces since the 2nd of March, but it was also experiencing during that time Mercury's retrograde. And ironically, Mercury comes out of its post-retrograde shadow on the 9th of April too. So that's good news. But just over the last 2 days, Mars has been forging a stunning alliance to Uranus. If you have had a big attraction to somebody, it wouldn't be a complete surprise. But also, if you're a very creative person, you may have been having a brilliant connection and sharing ideas to another like-minded person. But one of the things that Mars asks you to do in the sixth house is convert that creativity that's been so much to the fore into something more functional and practical. But the sign of Aries clearly is fiery. It's about initiation, and it can be about our desire. But the sixth house is not particularly sexy. It is about those everyday details. Can be about our routines, our work, how much sleep and exercise we get, and what we're eating and drinking. And Mars, of course, is very much more about our identity, but the sixth house is more about sacrifice. So, in that sense, there is a little bit of a mismatch. But also, Mars initially meets up with the dreamy, drifting energy of Neptune. If you are someone who works in the service sector and you do have to use both your physical energy but also your compassion, that's a great conjunction to start off this journey. However, if you're working in an environment where there's lots of demands and not a lot of appreciation for how much dedication you show, Neptune could drain out the energy of Mars. And Saturn, of course, is in the sixth house. So over the next couple of years, Saturn can be about limitation. You do need to be that much more disciplined about the way you lead your life. So Mars gives you something for sure, but you do need to use its energy wisely. But just as Mars arrives, we have a quarter moon. Sun in Aries, like Mars and Saturn and Neptune, squares up to the moon in Capricorn. Now, for you, the moon in Capricorn is very much about quick exchanges, but the moon is really more about how we feel. And the sign of Capricorn is where the moon's detrimented. So it's a quarter moon that provides a backdrop for the first week that Mars is in the sign of Aries. And therefore, if you try to be too virtuous, which is a very sixth house energy, it may not be for the best, and you could end up feeling a bit frazzled. So it's important to prioritize the details you want to work on and also the conversations you have, because third house energy is much more difficult to be in touch with the moon. The moon in Capricorn is practical, it's not so sensitive. Now, there is an opposition with Jupiter, the top of your chart, in the ninth house, very much to do with freedom. And the sun squares to that too. So the sun's in a T square with Jupiter and the moon. So the uptake of this is, I feel, even if you are wanting to focus on a narrower range of interests and to be, that much more focused on preserving your welfare or making your life that much more ordered or thinking about your work, somehow or another, Jupiter could see you resisting some of the obligations and chores that could be calling out to you. But then the moon energy is kind of pushing you to make sure that you don't. So there is a bit of a tension there. And the best thing to do with Jupiter in the mix is just be aware of not trying to escape the ninth house, some of the realities that you may need to tackle. But as far as relationships are concerned, Venus, the planet of relating, at home in the sign of Taurus, very sensual there. But the seventh house calls out to its more Libran energy, is in a terrific link with Jupiter. There could be someone at the moment that you're really drawn to, and it could actually turn out to be very fortunate. What I would say, because of the dazzling vibe of Mars and Uranus, that if you do have a connection, what these two do, the two benefits, is give you an opportunity to just talk things through. And if someone understands you have got some commitments and demands at the moment, perhaps around childcare, maybe around limitations, practical limitations, looking after people in your family, maybe it is to do with distance, could be to do with the work or even health issues. If it's the really right person, there's enough here to suggest that things could be overcome. But the sixth house and Mars is that mismatch because Mars does want to do what it wants to do for us. But if you're someone who's very keen to be helpful to others, I think if you work in a service sector like distribution, like food, like personal care, like health or medicine, this could be a very enriching period. By the 13th of April, Mars is in an exact conjunction with Neptune, but your physical vitality may dip a bit around those days. It then comes into a sextile with your modern ruler of Pluto on the 16th. If you're revising where you live, whether it's through redecorating, refurbishing, whether it's renovating something from scratch, your uh, energy and commitment, but detailing together with that desire to evolve something at the root of your world can be very compelling. When Mars and Pluto get together in a collaborative way, their willpower is astonishing. But by the 19th, the two malefics, Mars and Saturn, come into an exact conjunction in your sixth house. It's not a time to miss a regular appointment with the dentist, or if it's for an animal, which can be the sixth house with the vet. And you may find that if you're very dedicated, that people's tendency to assume that you're always going to be the person who covers, does that bit more, pulls all the stops out to support things, it really could start to creak. But one of the things you can do with Mars conjunct Saturn, even if you do find yourself very irritated and frustrated, if you feel that people are taking liberties, you can also show tremendous strength of will and resilience. Mars then moves on to connect with Chiron. If you have got a long-standing health issue, there is the potential through talking to a professional, getting different sources of information, the desire to get better can show up with Mars's conjunction with Chiron. But then Mars comes into a square early May with Jupiter. And once more, you're juggling between what you kind of know you should really be doing with another part of your nature which would rather be off doing what really is much more exciting. So if you are more of a free spirit and you find regularity and patterns as dull as the proverbial ditch water, you could be in for a little bit of a test over this next 6 weeks. If you're someone who's readily applies yourself in a very committed and very thoughtful way, around your duties, this could be a time when you can make progress. I'm going to summarize those four areas for you, Scorpio, of energy, work, relationships, and finance. But if you've yet to watch your April monthly forecast, that's on the screen. Your Libra full moon forecast on the screen. We've reduced the price of my personal horoscopes. You can buy three, but pay just for one. Please see the link below. We're doing this because of the current financial crunch. Obviously, a lot of things have gone up with what's going on with the volatility in the world. So it's not forever, but it's something we're doing to try to help. So please see the link below for more. And if you'd like to work with me personally, please see my testimonials below. If you've yet to sign up for your free daily horoscope fired to your device each morning, you can get your celestial pit stop early each day. Please see the link below. So to summarize, I think as far as your physical energy is concerned, you do need to make sure that you're not doing too much. It's not about people pleasing, it's maybe almost being too conscientious, and at times actually reminding yourself for other people to take a share of the load. If you are someone who does find it a little bit more difficult to delegate, a good time to discuss this, that quarter moon. It's also important to not think that you're invincible with that Jupiter Sun square. As far as a job is concerned, if you're not enjoying what you're doing at the moment and you feel that you're being taken for advantage, I think your ability to come across in an interview situation can be strengthened by Venus and Jupiter. So you could have some luck if you make a change. As far as relationships are concerned, well, maybe you're about to bump into someone in the most mundane of situations, but with Venus in that glorious link to Jupiter and Mars in that terrific link to Uranus, something could happen quickly, but there may be some practical issues that do need to be overcome first. As far as finances are concerned, the fifth house can be very much about speculation. Mercury coming out of the post-retrograde shadow is helpful, and perhaps because Venus is the planet of money too, it may be something to do with a connection uh, to somebody else. It may be someone who's going to give you some information, a tip. It may be something to do with an emerging industry or perhaps uh, something that's overseas based that you can have success with. It's been a pleasure being with you, Scorpio. All the best and goodbye for now.